colour scheme in here is great.
Yeah, it makes it worth it because it's so empty that it has a variety of colours.
The corridors are just so nice.
Here's some beds.
Venturing into the shadows of abandoned places can lead to thrilling discoveries, but what happens when the thrill turns into a chase? We're diving into one of the most heart-pounding urban exploration encounters ever recorded, but before we dive into the first encounter, don't forget to subscribe. Many of you watching aren't subscribed yet, and your support is what keeps us bringing you more of this disturbing content. The scene opens with urban explorers stepping into a massive, abandoned hangar. The silence hangs heavy, broken only by creaking metal and hushed footsteps as they aim to capture the eerie beauty of this forgotten industrial giant. They climb precarious steps and balance on rickety beams high above the hangar floor. Below, discarded tools, rusted machinery, and the ghostly outlines of unused aircraft hint at a time when this place once buzzed with life.
I'm gonna go around, okay?
The silence is shattered by the unmistakable voice of security. A high-stakes game of cat and mouse begins. Shadows become hiding spots, distant sounds warnings, and adrenaline surges as they try to stay unseen. The chase pushes them to their limits through the cavernous hangar. Quick thinking and agility are their only allies as they narrowly evade capture. Every step a test of nerve and skill. Do you agree with this, whether quick thinking made them escape the capture? Let us know in the comments below.
Давайте на точку полицию выставим. По поводу, чего вы пришли? Я не вижу ничего. Да я подержу не... Что ты боишься? Ну что ты боишься, как это, как маленький? Я отдам. Ну что ты... Ну это паспорт, я понял, да?
Да, все паспорт. Слухал, его не было, они сказали, ты номер.
Это иностранец, вы ему показывали это все. Просто знаем в этом месте.
Тем более иностранец.
Хорошо, пошли туда. Идемте. Никуда не денется ваш документ.
Нет, отдайте документ.
Документ никуда не денется. Это
Отдайте ему документ. Хорошо, тогда везите его на английский.
Хорошо, идемте. Будьте рисовать. Я с вами держу в руках. Объясните. Я с вами иду рядом.
Давайте.
Я сам должен.
Хорошо.
Его... Не вопрос, на.
Все.
The fear of being caught and the potential consequences fuels their desperate scramble for freedom. Venturing into the forgotten corners of the world can reveal hidden histories, but what happens when those histories are steeped in darkness and sorrow? On Urban Doned, we revisit a rural, abandoned hospital in Ireland, a place that once served as a mother and baby home, and where disturbing truths have since come to light. The Urban Doned team returns to a rural, abandoned hospital in Ireland, first visited 2 years earlier. Built in the 1930s as a mother and baby home, its dark history has surfaced in recent decades. After camping nearby, they approach the overgrown, silent facility at dawn in summer 2021. Their first target, the chapel, accessed through a small gap.
After camping in the thick woodlands surrounding the grounds of the hospital, at the crack of dawn we cautiously wandered towards the facility, glad to see it overgrown and silent. We were midway through our 2021 Ireland trip in summer, so well prepared for any complications. Our first target was the site's chapel, which was becoming a regular occurrence at these premises we had visited. Thankfully it didn't take long before we found a slight gap to squeeze beyond.
Alistair marveled at the chapel's condition, clean, remarkably preserved. Theo noted the unusual color scheme, which Alistair found striking. A smaller chapel nearby hinted at the site's scale. Though coated in dust, the chapel appeared frozen in time, untouched like the main building, creating a haunting, atmospheric space for their exploration.
See this hanging artwork on the walls that looks to be done by children, but it's quite good. It's got a distinct style to it.
Away from the large and small halls beside each other, there were a handful of back rooms, most of which were full to the brim with religious memorabilia.
Alistair noticed the smaller chapel, its walls adorned with children's artwork that was surprisingly sophisticated. Back rooms held religious memorabilia, possibly props, while Theo discovered working power and a surprising amount of items left behind, including drawers with old, faded tags. The home, established in the mid-1930s, once housed around 40 women and their children, sent there to work off the stigma of pregnancy outside marriage. Their identities were erased, replaced with staff-given nicknames. The building's dark history began to surface amid these haunting relics.
This one seems to have a lot of stuff as well. I really like the tags on the drawers, especially the top one anyway. The bottom ones have been reprinted, but they look quite old.
In the mid-1930s, the mother and baby home was established with capacity for roughly 40 women and their children. The women would be sent to the complex to work to remove the sin of pregnancy outside of marriage. Their information was wiped when they arrived at the home and were given nicknames by staff. The horrors of what actually occurred inside one of these properties began here. There are terrible stories of beatings, high infant mortality, negligence, forced labour and starvation that resulted in the deaths of hundreds of children.
The site held harrowing history: abuse, neglect, forced labor, starvation, and high infant mortality, with hundreds of children lost. Alistair noted confession booths, body trays, and a manger in boxes, questioning their presence. Despite this, the church still had power, its lights glowing on the balcony and organ intact. Alistair called it one of the nicest churches he'd seen. Next, they moved to the largest building, once housing women and children, and later a hospital. Originally for 40 residents, numbers tripled, forcing some women to sleep in barns and resulting in over 30 child deaths. The government eventually limited new admissions, and the facility expanded to hold over 100 women. Exploring the upper levels first, Alistair admired paintings, flower bouquets, likely fate, and the building's long corridors, empty rooms, and elegant tiles, hoping to uncover more relics of its dark past.
And that is a body tray. What's that doing in the church? Two in fact, but this one's lost its tray. To be honest, out of all the places we've been to, I'm the least surprised that this one has power. There's hardly any deterioration. This staircase is going to take us to the top of the balcony. Where the lights are on too. There's this organ, maybe that still works. This is definitely one of the nicest churches I've seen.
In otherwise empty rooms, Alistair admired paintings in the long bare corridors of the main block, a stark contrast to the untouched chapel. Power still worked in some rooms, and Art Deco staircases with protective gating hinted at its later use as a hospital for disabled children. The building had likely been closed for 5 or 6 years, with decay and peeling paint more pronounced here. Each empty room carried a distinct atmosphere. The history of abuse, neglect, and high infant mortality made the exploration chilling. Alistair noted floor tiles, bathrooms, and a moldy bath, while Theo praised the color scheme in corridors. Some rooms suggested previous uses: a music room, a locked cell with monitoring holes, offering glimpses into daily life in its darker days. After exploring the upper floors, they prepared to descend, wary of alarms but hoping to find stored equipment, moving carefully through the hallway to avoid triggering sensors.
Some more paintings. We're going to go up to the top floor next because we think the bottom floor is alarmed. And then we'll go down to the bottom floor at the end in case it triggers it and we have to leave quickly. It's floor tiles. There's so many bathrooms in this place, so you see them a lot. Here's an actual bath. And there's interesting decorations in here. Some Must have been a bedroom for someone who liked music, that's the only thing I can think of. Unless it was like a music room in the hospital.
Theo pointed out where he assumed an alarm might be, but Ollie couldn't spot one. Theo suggested sliding down the stairs. The corridor on the lower floor appeared very clean, with its fire escape lights all functional. Unfortunately, many wards were locked, and they could only glimpse beds and medical equipment through dirty glass. Disappointed but surprised they could still communicate, they continued checking each room until Alistair spotted beds, urging them to be quick as the footage quality wouldn't be optimal.
The corridor on the lower floor appeared very clean, with its fire escape lights all working. Sadly, as we found out, a lot of the wards had been locked, and we could only glimpse the beds and medical equipment that did remain through dirty glass. Disappointed, but surprised we could still hear each other talk.
Alistair noticed the loudness of something nearby, admired the tilework, and observed a dining room still set with plates, likely leading to the kitchen. In 2018, the discovery of hundreds of babies buried at a similar Irish mother and baby home sparked a government investigation into 18 sites, uncovering decades of abuse, forced adoptions, and high mortality rates. Up to 250 children and 10 women are reported to have died here, a lower toll than some other homes, where numbers exceeded 1,000. In 2021, the organization running this and 2 other homes publicly apologized. What do you think about these shocking events? Were they inhumane? Let us know in the comments below. Meet Dave, creator of the YouTube channel Abandoned World Explorer, where he explores forgotten and decaying places, uncovering the silent stories left behind. His captivating narration draws viewers into the haunting beauty of neglect, until one day, an exploration proves far more unsettling than expected. On a cold day, Dave arrived in L'Aquila, Italy. His target, an old hospital, abandoned for 14 years, where he anticipated a chilling exploration, warning viewers of the potentially squeamish sights within.
We explore central Italy, where the L'Aquila earthquake took place in 2009. This whole town is a complete ghost town. But while this time we explore part of the hospital, that everyone was evacuated at around 3:32 Italian time AM. Total damage of this city cost 16 billion, taking 308 dead, 1,500 injured. Now it's been abandoned now for 14 years. I was still at shock when I see patients' records still there, and seeing in the morgue area human remains still left. Bags with body bags with blood, and nothing was ever cleaned up. So guys and girls, try and enjoy the video. If you're a little squeamish,
The exploration began in the hospital's massive attached church, a once grand structure now succumbing to decay, with lights still hanging and beautiful marble details slowly falling apart.
explorers, so today we are still in Italy by an earthquake, and behind me here is one of the massive churches that's attached to the old hospital. So we're trying to find the morgue. I know it sounds a bit morbid, but there's a lot of personal things still left in there. So if you're a bit squeamish, obviously don't watch, but we may not even find it. But I've definitely seen it. It's in this hospital, so we're going to definitely look for it. But let's get on with the video. But yeah, I'm going to show you this church here is absolutely amazing, honestly. So I haven't got a proper face mask on me today. I've got my AWE one, but let's get on with the video. Yeah, we started off in the chapel church today. Look at the lights still hanging off the walls.
Continuing his descent, Dave navigated through long, empty corridors, the silence amplifying the chilling sense of isolation, especially alone in a foreign country.
There's an old calendar on the wall, 1999. You see how much asbestos is. Can you see how high up this hospital is as well? Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Walking through these would be a nightmare. Yeah, walking through these old corridors on your own. It's quite sketchy. Especially in a foreign country.
He pressed on, reaching what appeared to be the medical school or morgue area, where a truly horrifying sight awaited. The room was lined with slabs, crosses in each corner, and bottles, suggesting anatomical studies or post-mortem examinations.
Guys. There's old slabs in here, look at them. It's got quite a eerie feeling down here, guys, I'm not gonna lie. There's the lights each side. The old crosses in each corner.
This was where bodies were brought, some perhaps for medical science, their final resting places unknown.
So obviously they bring bodies down here to learn about the just think how many people have been used for medical science.
The atmosphere grew thick with dread as Dave discovered rotting human tissue and samples in bowls, the fridge emitting a putrid stench.
Guys, there's like human tissue rotting in there. There's samples still in the bowls.
Dried skin littered the floor, and a cloth lay smeared with what was unmistakably blood, a scene ripped straight from a horror film.
Oh. There's all blood on the floor. Look at all this. Cloth smothered in blood. Oh my God, this is like a horror film, and I'm sorry I just used the Lord's name.
The discoveries intensified with pieces of what appeared to be dried human skin and possibly bones.
Guys, it's all bones. Is this skin? Honestly, it's like a horror film. I think this is skin, guys.
Surgical blades and instruments, some adorned with skulls and crossbones, were scattered alongside a neck support and an apron stained with dried blood.
And it's still got the old neck piece there, neck support. Without being crude, how much fluid has run down there? Oof. It literally freaks me out, all this. I'm sure there's a few people on here that love all this, but not me. Formalina, alcohol. I just wonder what's in these tubs, but I don't really want to touch too much of it. I'm still doing it. It's all surgical blades. And that one's got a skull and crossbone on that. Oh look, guys, I think that's the leg support bit there. When they lay the body on, they put the legs on it, I'm sure, at the bottom. Oh look.
The sheer amount of biological material and medical equipment left behind painted a grim picture of a hasty evacuation, leaving behind the most visceral evidence of its past functions.
You see there's all like bottles of testing tubes on the floor. All the scrubs. This part out here, I think, is for the... Then you think, this bit's for medical science.
Suddenly, a distinct sound echoed through the desolate space, making Dave pause and search for its source. He heard a noise that hinted at someone else's presence, sending a jolt of unease through him, though he found no one.
Just before anyone says about it, someone's in the room with me. There's literally no one in there. What the hell? And that wasn't creepy. I think hopefully you see that. It's a looking ball one just literally rocking on its own across the floor.
This unsettling incident compounded the eerie feeling of the place, making the silence that followed even more ominous. As Dave explored the crumbling hospital, its library of rotting books and rooms scattered with medical supplies, the scale of abandonment was overwhelming. The building felt ready to collapse, and despite eerie sounds and a heavy sense of dread, he managed to leave safely. Yet the haunting remains of tragedy inside L'Aquila's abandoned hospital proved that some places carry a darkness time can never erase. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What could have caused these sounds? Anyway, what happens when the horrors you uncover are far more disturbing than you could ever imagine? We're diving into an exploration that reveals a shocking tale of neglect, death, and a terrifying encounter that trapped two urban explorers in a house of unspeakable secrets.